Ciao, hi, hello, and welcome to the Galactic Report brought to you by Vertex of Abundance. My name is Serene Priestess Ablosi. I'll be your oracle today. I was sent to deliberate the findings for Venus square Jupiter. Now, if you're new, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. It's a delight and an honor and a pleasure to serve. Thank you for allowing us the privilege to do so. If anything resonates deeply with you, comment, share, subscribe, leave a review, book a consult, send a donation. If you can go ahead and smash that like button right now, please and thank you. We will be starting out with the Astro Star Code Oracle by Heather Robbins. She's over at Hay House Publishing for this deck. This is a unique experience. We don't typically talk about aspects, especially like in the likeness of squares, oppositions, sextiles, trines, etc. We were going in to prepare for another cast, and the Venus energy popped through and was talking. So Venus right now is in Aries. It will be ingressing or moving into Taurus. There's a dissolving energy going on with Aries. It doesn't do or positive. Aries is an exalted energy. This may be rare. This may be a new trend. Normally, if we were just going to talk about one planet, it would be the spiritual report. However, that's not it. We're talking about the weather itself, not one specific energy. So we're using galactic report for that. Let's get in here, fit in here, and see what we got going on. If anything resonates deeply with you, go ahead and smash that like button. Remember, this is a personal. I mean, this is not a personal. Remember, this is a general reading. Again, I repeat, this is a general reading. One more time for those in the back. This is a general reading. We're just going to talk about celestial weather, galactic and planetary energies. If you would like something pertaining to you and yourself, it would go according to your rising sign. If you do not know your rising sign, start with your North Node. That would require personal reading. The information is in the show notes. Let us begin. Okay, so we have investigate, which is kind of eighth house energy. Also, it's kind of Scorpio energy. The difference is one is a mystery, one is the actual delving through the mystery. Scorpio would do that. Now, that's the terminal point. On the precipice is some type of invitation. So we're being called to investigate because on the periphery, there's been some progression. We're standing on the perimeter of some type of calm, or maybe I'll be trying to clarify as well. Because right now, there's been some discomfort. So we're figuring out why there's some unease, lack of comfort. We've had to go through some things to grow through some things. We've had to grow through something in order to understand something. And it might be making sense now. What these things are, we don't know. We're all going through the same frequency vibration. The energy may manifest differently according to how we're holding said vibration. So again, we could be witnessing the same event, we could be experiencing the same frequency. However, we will all have a different experience according to what resonant harmony we attain. So this, plumbing the depths of our soul, exploration, investigation, it does seem to be dignified. There's going to be some fruits that come out of it. The challenge, the obstacle, the crossing, the conundrum is that, again, this dignified exploration. We need to go inside and see what that light is. And Scorpio normally is the eighth house. Now, if Venus is in Aries and the sun has just moved into Aries, we don't count that internally here. Vertex of Abundance, the Galactic Temple of Ascension, delivering sacred messages from behind the veil. Again, if anything resonates deeply with you, go ahead and comment or subscribe, leave a review, book a consult, send a donation. On the 22nd, we will officially recognize the month of Aries. Now, it is the equinox, and I'll be honest, the sun has already ingressed into Aries, depending on where you are in the world. Okay. However, on the 22nd, that's when it's bona fide, big bona fide. But already it's kind of like throttling and, the fence. It's on the periphery at the cusp. Okay. If the sun is rising every day in the constellation of Aries, what we have is the Venus in the first house, Jupiter in the fourth house. That is actually the best. The places where we are a love ascendant being and where we're in the dark about accomplishing all that we need to get out of our mortal life is being dignified, is being refined, and our eternal life, our immortal ascension, is being cultivated. That's the translation. Because Jupiter is the spiritual ascension, Venus is the mortal ascension. Immortal just means you live less than 900 years. I know in this 3D Earth right now, in the era that we're in, the 2000s, the 1900s, the last couple thousand years or whatever, we look at life as around 99 years, 84 to 99 years. Death is very much a common gate keeping mechanism and device for those who were non-spiritual, who are not preparing for what comes after. Maybe we call it the afterlife, maybe we call it the next phase, the next transition. Those who cannot become a love ascendant being, meaning those who cannot operate from the heart chakra upwards, there's a completely different experience. Now, we're all living in a reality. It might not be the absolute reality because reality is a construct. Those constructs are made out of archetypes. Those archetypes are conditioned and programmed, and those conditions and programmings typically come from colonization and controllership. Okay. Colonization would actually be mother, daddy, teacher, preacher. The controllers would be the history books, science books, religious books. We can reverse that if we are in the mind frame of looking at life as an inside joke. Meaning, what's been colonized is the systems, the structures, the foundations that are enmeshed, that are enshrined, that really aren't in alignment with the authentic truth, our true nature, with our authentic self and true nature. Now, I said that for those who need to hear. Let me get back down to earth here. We're in a period where we are exploring the parts of ourselves that are unrefined, that are unacknowledged, that are unfed. And actually, they've been fed whenever we're in our alignment with our authentic self, our true nature. Is when we come out of the box, when we come out to play, when we have to do the signaling, whether it's virtue signaling, whether it's respectability politics, whether it's the playing the game. Whenever we have to do that, la superbia, that peacocking, that, acting normal or pretending or whatever, however that looks like, whenever we have to play the game or, show up to the table in some type of performative way, that's actually a self-betrayal, whether we registered or not, whether we think that or not, whether we agree with that or not, whether we understand that or not. Authentically, the way Jupiter sees it is that that's not our spiritual self acting. That's our very limited self. That's our very right now, right here self. So that's the difference between there's an archetype, and this is unpleasant to say it, so this is a content warning. There's an archetype called prostitute, and we often think about that as some type of trade. Actually, spiritually, when that word is used, I won't even repeat it, it means you're sacrificing your right now for your forever. So you're sacrificing your temporal, mortal self for your eternal self. Okay? Because Square is not necessarily an oppositional thing. Square versus opposition is adversarial. Adversarial is just competition. Oppositional means they don't even want you in the game. It's the difference between jealousy and envy. Jealousy is when you think you could have had something, or when one thinks that something kind of belongs to them and they see a threat to it. Maybe someone else, maybe something else is obfuscating it, obscuring it, you know, threatening it, maybe trying to sneak in there and get a handle of it. Envy, on the other hand, is you don't one doesn't necessarily want that thing that the other person has. It's not necessarily a covetous thing. It's a rageful thing. They think that other person doesn't deserve it and they just don't want. So one is trying to destroy, the other one is trying to win. Okay. Let me put it this way. It's the difference between lone wolf and self-interest. Lone wolf just has a one track mind. They don't want to incorporate another energy, entity, ideology into their framework. Self interest, it can easily convert to something more than benign, harmful, even toxic, even. It doesn't just leave harmful, toxic abuse. It goes into malignant, it goes way past malignant, sometimes into malicious intent or even malevolency. Malevolence. Does that make sense? And so, opposition is that the envy or that malevolent, malicious intent. Adversarial is just kind of lone wolf. It's just kind of one sided. It's just so there's been times when we don't necessarily go against the flow. What we do is we go in alignment with ourselves. We tune inside and we go on soul's wisdom. And that's the thing that's growing, because the sacrifice to make here is to move to what's clear and see. When you open your eyes, you look. When you close your eyes, you see. So I'm talking about that one eye, that third eye. In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. That's not talking about actual eyeballs. You hear me? You feel me? Word. And it's going to be uncomfortable. It is going to be uncomfortable. It should. Because that's another thing about a square. A square is a little bit of tension, because it's not that we want different things, it's that we're going about it in different ways. That's the thing with the square. It's not direct opposition, blocking the path, a complete pure crossing, which is a contestation. It's more of a conundrum, a challenge. That's so we need to cultivate out of our discomfort. And we need to convert that into energy, effort, attention, locomotion, movement, action. Maybe great big action, or just massive action, or progressive action, or steady action, which is consistent, whatever, what have you, so on and so forth. Yeah. So again, like I said, we need to explore the depths of our soul, because wherever we're uncomfortable, wherever we're experiencing maybe more than distress, but extreme discomfort, and there's Venus, beloved. Yeah, we're being invited to our own internal light. We're being invited to activate our soul's consciousness and not the mental palace, because the heart is a guide, the mind is a witness. The heart can tell you what you want right away. The mind is going to come up with every single way which it can't happen. See, the mind is going to focus on all the obstacles. The mind is going to focus. I mean, the heart is going to focus on the one way in which something can happen. In order to enter into our spiritual self, not just our human self or our mortal self or our physical self, we're going to need to tune out what's outside. And it's more than this hedonism or sensualism. It's more than just earthly pleasures or physical pleasures or bodily consciousness. We need to stop with the below the heart and go above the heart. And I'm not saying anything is bad. I'm saying if we can't master both sides of the scale, if we can't understand both sides of the spectrum, we're not going to be able to embody the middle of the spectrum, which means we have a choice. The only bad choice is one choice. And right now, something's been prioritized to the detriment, to the expense of another. So our forever self, our eternal self is being compromised, is being threatened, is being jeopardized by our right now. And our right now is just doing what everybody else is doing, following the rules, not sticking out, having people like us, all the little conditioning and programming, respectability politics, superbia, peacocking. What is respectability politics, Ablosi? Respectability politics is virtue signaling, tone policing, concern trolling, compassion baiting, individuality shaming, policing normative behaviors, gatekeeping extraordinary people out. What is extraordinary? Anything that's progressive and future paced, spiritual, lofty. And that's the thing, to an emerging civilization, miracle technology or magic is really this spiritual technology to an advanced civilization. And we can replace the word civilization to community. So that's the download. Let's process and see what the cycle is going to look like. I keep hearing this song called Rock Steady. So again, whatever would seem like enduring, when we convince ourselves that we have this unconditional compassion, what that really is enduring tolerance. Unconditional love, unconditional compassion. For some of us, it's just enduring tolerance. And we can love someone or something or somewhere unconditionally. Unconditional tolerance is questionable at best. Okay. So Rock Steady by No Doubt, because I keep hearing the lyrics, the real love survives the rock steady vibes. Love is like a punishment, homegirl here to represent. Rock steady, our love is rock steady. So that could be the ancestors. Otherwise, real love is when you can leave, when you can walk away. And a lot of people get into a lot of detractors from that sentiment get into the, oh, abandonment and commitment and forever, forever do we part. Spiritually, how soul union works is that if the two come together and don't grow to a higher frequency energy vibration, when you return back into spirit and you do a review, you get a mission fail. Period, point blank. If you come to earth and you squander your gifts, if you come to earth and you do not fulfill your purpose, if you come to earth and you do not enter your sacred calling, you get back on the other side of the veil to home base, it's a mission fail. You have to repeat something or you lose marks or whatever. Okay. So Venus came right out. We're going to wait for the Emperor and we're going to wait for the Wheel of Fortune. So, as I said, we are doing some spiritual cultivation here with the Nine of Cups and this Four of Wands. That's a love ascended being, and that's a spiritually ascended being. Nine of Cups talks about we've fulfilled everything we've come to earth to do, and now we have eternal life on the other side. Four of Wands means that we've reached harmonic frequency here in the earth realm. It could even mean that we have successfully lit that Vestal fire and that there's enough mechanism or system structures, foundations, or there's enough activity here upon the earth to keep that fire fueled. I'm speaking very metaphorically here. If you can't hear it, this is an encoded message. I'm speaking in metaphor. We're coming from, again, this love ascendant being coming with nurturing and creativity because we're in conception and gestation, which really means that we have manifested something of the spiritual affairs here in the physical. It means we came out of a place of absolute fulfillment to attain some singular contentment here. And that will be done through expansion and progression of our purpose. Expansion and progression, Eight of Wands, which means this Four of Wands is, it can be pulpit, platform, throne. It also is saying that over the next, the 2 weeks following the Libra full moon will bring some type of, it can mean feminine power. And listen, men have feminine power too. The womb on the masculine is the third eye. It's not the genital region, which means inception and implementation. Okay. So for the male assigned or identified, the Empress would talk about nurturing creativity. They would talk about internal cultivation, and they would talk about conception and gestation, things that are in development. Over the 2 weeks following the full moon in Libra, there's going to be some kind of emotional fortitude around that because we're mastering some type of technical or structural mechanism. A prayer will be answered from the heavenly authority, is what I'm getting. And we know exactly what it is. Whatever it is, it's not going to be unknown. It won't come as a surprise. We're aware of this with the High Priestess. It's saying here that 2 months ago, a decision was made. Over the last 2 months, some type of judgment came through, a decision got made, or we made some type of choice or move that will affect our eternal life, meaning countless lifetimes in the future, 7 lifetimes backwards, or 9, up to 9, because the Nine of Cups has come out. Now, we'll know over the next week, we'll get a sign over the next week that, hey, there was an answered prayer, or over the next 3 weeks, we'll understand that some judgment that we made is being protected or stood on. I'm even hearing the word stand on business. Now, listen. It may have to deal with paperwork, it may have to deal with credentialing. It's some type of heavenly judgment, or we had to call outside energy, whether it was celestial or physical, heavenly or earthly, to make a judgment. There's also some commitment to estrangement. There might be a separation, a divorce, estrangement. And it can be family, it doesn't just have to be a long-term relationship. I'm not getting any air sign energy, so I can't tell. It's not, it doesn't refer to someone's chart. Because it's been for a long time, we've been waiting and we've been processing some kind of ordeal. What that is, I don't understand. Again, this is a general reading. But we're doing the work to make it through some type of ordeal that's been going on. Some kind of burden is going to be put to bed, put to rest. This is a long reading, so let's move quickly. Some type of burden is going to be put to rest. It's been a long time in coming. Knight of Pentacles with the Ten of Wands. That says for a long time, Knight of Pentacles, we've been dealing with a burden, carrying around some kind of weight, carrying a flame, or erecting some kind of foundation. Ten of Wands, clarified by those cards are clarifying the Magician. We had some kind of will and intention that needed to be enshrined or took some time. Timing indicator, Seven of Cups. Future pacing, it means in the next week or something, we might find some perspective for something that we've only been perceiving as a delay. We could have needed enlightenment, and that would have been some kind of delay. But it's saying that we needed to move into the austere part of the situation. We needed to kind of process some feelings, and there were a lot of them. Harsh feelings, Queen of Swords with the Seven of Cups, multiple, a lot of them. But the truth is coming. If we're dealing with another energy, and over the last couple of days, we've started to discover that this energy doesn't want to be repelled. It doesn't want to be either said no, there might be some contestation, some competition. It might be a karmic lesson. There may be an intent to cross. Again, to contest, I'm hearing that word contestation. I've heard it 3 times. Now, on one hand, this energy, it was the right energy at one time or another. And honestly, it's reading as this energy doesn't want to grow. It doesn't want to do its work. It doesn't want to evolve. And that's the message of the day, evolve or die. The world's going to get better with or without you. So if you're staying the same, by definition, you're falling behind because everything else is going to progress forward. This is how it works. That's how the game works. It's how it is out here in the Serengeti. Get with it or get gone. Move out the way. You can't take the heat. It's unfortunate. Nobody really likes that when they're on the wrong side of that, myself included. You only don't like a standard if you don't meet the standard. There's no other reason one would be complaining about it. And if one is complaining about the standard who meets the standard, it's always progressive and positive. So when there's competitions, conundrums, contestation, complaining, karma, you know, there's nothing else going on. It's not progressive. That's what I'm saying. All right. So there's a message of truth here, or we're petitioning for some type of documentation, or we might be waiting for some type of decision or decree. Because this could also be delayed news, or it could be some type of paperwork or electronic communication. And this is saying it's already started. The process is already underway. What this really means with the Ace of Swords and the Three of Wands and the positioning that it's in, something already got decided upon, and it's in the mail. I'm hearing decree, divorce decree. If the Three of Swords comes out soon, I'm correct. Now, remember I was saying that there's competition, conundrums, crossing. A karmic cycle, 10 of Wands. Karmic lesson, 5 of Wands. Feeling competitive, feeling petty, Page and the 5 of Wands. Over the last month, something really heartfelt or something really coveted has been moving through deliberation. The intent is to secure some type of crisis situation. How do I know? The Tower here is clarified by the Page of Wands and the Four of Pentacles. Something we need to secure some type of chaotic or crisis situation because there's good, bad, right, wrong. There's dichotomies and paradoxes here. The good with the bad, the right with the wrong, the up and the down, the in and the out, the on and the off, whatever will have you, so on and so forth, ad nauseum and infinitum, etc. Over the last month or so, there's been some type of deliberation. A lot of times we say that the Two of Swords is indecision. Okay, it's possible. I would need to see the Page of Cups or the Seven of Cups in a different position than it is here. In a different position. Two of Swords actually means that the answer will change when the feelings change, not the facts. That the facts are already clear, they're already out, we've already gone through discovery. What we don't have is processing and interpretation. We haven't assigned value to certain things, or we have all the facts, we just don't know how we feel about the facts. Really, it means deliberation or having to weigh up two very opposing ideas. It can mean that an answer was a no. We already got a yes. We got a yes with the Judgment and the Ace of Swords. Really, what this is saying, especially since it's clarifying the Justice card, it's saying that we're waiting on deliberation on something that's really heartfelt. Good news is coming. It just took some time. I feel like it had to have been worked through some type of system. I don't see the courts yet. There was no Four of Swords, Eight of Swords. We're still waiting on the Emperor to end the reading. The Wheel of Fortune and the Empress has come out. We need the Chariot and the Emperor to conclude the reading here. Okay, so here's what I know. Because when you get the Devil and the Justice card, there's some type of demonology. So with that Five of Wands, it can mean that we're dealing with somebody that has a toxic personality style. Now, let me give you an advanced degree in 15 seconds. I'm dramatizing that idea, by the way. It's not our job to really say who is a narc or not. Okay, it's a new word. It's only been out for a couple years, so it's new age. So we don't really know how to use it correctly yet. We'll catch up when we're already on to the next new age thing. Okay, here's all you need to know. Is something toxic for you? Yes or no? Toxic just means we've done too much, and if we continue, it's going to be harmful. Now, what's toxic for us might not be toxic for somebody else. So calling somebody toxic, period, toxic for you, okay. Now let's go a little bit further. Everybody has a personality trait. Some people are late, some people are early, some people are messy, some people are organized, some people are disorganized and organized, some people are honest to a fault, other people are pathological. You know, some people are humble, some people are grandiose, some people are shy, other people are outgoing. Those are all individual traits. Now, a preponderance, meaning a collective, a group of traits, that's a personality cluster. And when certain negative traits are clustered together with usually more than six, that's rigid, maladaptive, and pervasive. If it's at four, it's already toxic. Okay. And those need to be negative traits. Now, again, certain traits may work for you or not. Some people love outgoing people, other people, it's like, wow, that's a lot of energy. Okay. Here's what I do know. When we have the Justice and the Devil together, that means, hey, something here is demonic. If it were the Emperor and the Devil, it would mean criminal. Okay. Anything else, it would mean duplicitous. It could be also falsification. The Two of Swords is left already. There might have been attempted lies, attempted fraud, or whatever. It didn't work. Something's moving through a system. It's out of our hands already. We are already feeling pages are feelings, knights are desires, kings are wants, queens are needs. So the page here of cups with the Eight of Cups says we're feeling withdrawn. Four of Cups would be detached, Eight of Cups would be withdrawn. We're feeling Page of Cups, withdrawn, Eight of Cups. And it's being honored. Over the next 3 months, we're going to have a completely new beginning. However, this is a new crisis or a new change. It's something that previously was magnetic. So this energy came into our life, lovers with the tower, at a time when it was catalytic. Whatever experience that we're going through, it really needed to reshape and restructure our paradigm, and that's shifted with the Wheel of Fortune and the Hangman. It can mean destiny is delayed, or it could mean that something's in God's hands, something's in the hands of the divine. I'm hearing that song, Jesus Take the Wheel. And it was a fortuitous experience, even if it didn't seem like it. This could mean hitting the lottery or being at the casino. And it's not always talking about cash money, dollar bills. We're going to be in a completely new frame of mind over the next 3 months. So here's the Three of Swords I've been waiting for. Oh, okay. Interesting. So there is a little bit of narcissism here. I usually take that when I see the Hermit or the Nine of Swords with the Devil card. The Devil makes everything inverted, or a bunch of fives makes everything inverted. Inverted is like reversed. So when the Devil's out, we take the negative meaning of everything. For instance, Page of Cups in reverse is a liar, is a seducer. Six of Pentacles in reverse is envy, greed. Eight of Cups in reverse is something's failing to launch. Three of Pentacles and the Devil actually means somebody has their Mars in the 10th house or in Capricorn. It can mean some kind of um, dark group, usually a dark cabal, but there's other energies to clarify that. So, again, over the next 6 weeks or so, we will be on a completely different path, but we're going to have to be by ourselves for the next 6 weeks or so because an ordeal, not just a burden, but an ordeal is being worked out. We're dealing with the trauma of some ordeal, and we're about to be blessed rather significantly. But right now is not the time to be bigger, brighter, and better because some other energy is going to go into the ego, or it's not quite time for us to come up with our ideas. I'm reading both sides. It's not quite time for us to come up with our ideals and our expansion and the big bright vision. It will be soon. Let's just work with the idea of that. 6 weeks from now. So if 2 weeks after the full moon is a month from now, during the Taurus new moon, the 2 weeks following the Taurus new moon would be the time. Yeah. So whenever Mercury moves into Taurus is what this is saying. The Taurus season is when it's time. And that's about 6 weeks from now. Yeah, the Taurus season would be time to come out and share whatever we got going on or the changes that we're making or that issue that we were having is over. It feels like we're going through some type of divorce, separation. It's not always from a person. Because we're actually more like a public servant or in the public eye. And even if none of those things really ring true for us, it means that our story would really help somebody close to us whenever we decide to share. Right now might not be the time to share. we might just need to kind of do our own thing for a minute, because the Three of Swords kind of means trauma, like active trauma. Now we have the Four of Swords, which means post-traumatic stress or post-stress, post-trauma. Something is being worked out. And if there's another energy, entity, ideology in the shape of an enemy, they might actually be trying to eke out whatever they can from the situation. A narrative might change. It might be selfish and one-sided. The narrative might be more in somebody else's favor. The truth will come out at a time other than now. We don't have to be the arbiter of that. There also, this could be that we need to post up working in our own energy to gain some insight and knowledge out of this in a kind of constructive way. What would that mean? Traditions, tactics, principles. We might need to understand policies, procedures, protocols. Might need to understand system structures, foundations. We might need to understand theories, techniques, technologies. We might need to read a couple books, spend half a day on the Wikipedia, go around to some mentors and advisors and coaches or whatnot. There's it's out there already. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. And here's the deal: always come from the godly place of having an open heart, loving, caring, kind, unconditional love. Again, unconditional love meaning not everybody's going to have access to us for a while. Because we have the open wound, and then after it's scabbed over, Three of Swords, open wound, that's the actual trauma. Four of Swords could be the post traumatic stress, could be the post stress or the post trauma, but that's actually scabbing over with the Four of Swords. And they're back to back. And here, over here, we have the Ten of Swords and the King of Cups, and this is us. So even though we went through it, we were stabbed in the back, maybe even cut down. They might have even left us for, purging, the delete. They might even, put us in the shred pile. It didn't happen. Even though we got done dirty, we're still loving, caring, generous, and kind. And again, unconditional love does not mean unconditional tolerance. When you see the King of Cups and the Torino Toro, what is that? Taurus card, it could mean that it might be an Aquarius rising. It could also mean that we're a godly person or we have some type of spiritual practice. We might even be Brahmin or something like that. It could even mean like, we're working with something clinical, institutional, a therapist, a coach, a guide, some type of navigator. So what we need is harmony and union. Queen of Cups, Two of Cups. Okay, so there's a lot here. Queen of Cups with the Death card could mean Scorpio moon. It could mean Leo rising. Queen of Cups with the Cancer card, Chariot, could mean Cancer moon. It could mean Aries rising. We also have the Queen of Cups with the Two of Cups, which means needing love, needing union, needing to be on the same page, needing birds of a feather flocking together. It also says that 2 weeks ago, we moved into some type of sweetness. We understood our value or our emotions evened out. It feels like we really, really, genuinely, sincerely, actually, factually, authentically mastered our feelings. Whatever's going on, how dirty McDirty, how nasty McNasty, how effed up it really was and unfair. We really got it. We got it. It's cool. You did what you did. The situation was what it was. Experience was what it was. I felt how I felt. We moved on. We moved forward. It's okay. You're forgiven. You just will not get access. You are absolutely forgiven, but you will not be pardoned. You are absolutely fine. Take that lesson to your next relationship. Take that lesson to your Lord, to your Savior, to your God, to your Papa Dio, to your whatever agnostic belief you have. I'm gonna do me. Move how you move. I'm just gonna move out your way. It's cool. It's fine. It's I. Do not worry. It's already over. We're already moving forward. And if there's another party, they're walking into some type of binding, some type of stripping. There's this energy here of they really worked out of the ego. If there's another person, if there's not another person, there was a collaboration, co-creation, cooperation for some type of vision, and there was a need for leadership and somebody who appeared to have some type of refined technical skill came in and kind of depleted the situation, or there was a lapse of funding, financing, or something toppled a little bit temporarily or permanently because of some type of ideology. It could have been a mentality or a way of handling things. Lastly, because I'm still getting divorced, we're not going to get everything we owed. But here's the deal: if you lose someone and you gain yourself, you actually won. So if we lose somebody and we gain ourselves, we're the winner. And when we're dealing with a toxic individual, toxic personality style, they oftentimes think they won. They're always going to have that narrative. It's not our job to prove a point. It's not our job to ever get recognized by them. We might need that affection, adoration, appreciation, acknowledgement, attention. It's never going to come. We've got to give it to ourselves. Sometimes we got to give ourselves closure. We walk away feeling love, needing love. And if that wasn't given, that was as much a signal as letting them know that they weren't showing up and attending to the situation the way that they needed. So we have three narratives right now because the finances got stripped, ideology tanked the situation, or there was a negative entity working towards derision here, and it came out in a destabilization, a degradation, a decline. We moved on, moved forward, mastered something about 2 weeks ago. Somebody might have their Venus in Cancer or the fourth house. Somebody might have their moon in Cancer or the fourth house, or Aries rising. Because there's this energy here that something's only going to be happy when they see that our heart is in shambles. And it's okay right now to have a little bit of self interest because we're in a healing phase. That this energy is going to come back around when we're not in tears, when we're not a mess, when we're not broken, when we're not in shambles. And you know what? Okay. The way forward out of devastation, out of hatred, out of literally, I'm hearing the word vim and viscer. Something here is ruminating, oscillating, vacillating in hate, marinating in venom. It's part of their character, it's part of their soul. Don't worry about it. Others of us are dealing with this energy here, Five of Swords, where our happiness is a threat to this other side. Others of us are dealing with just boundaries and standards. We need to have boundaries and standards, and it's not about explaining our boundaries and not about explaining our standards. Actually, the fact that our standards are not being met is as much data as communicating and iterating those standards. The fact that our boundaries are not being respected is enough data. It's iterating because if somebody doesn't like our standards, they don't meet them. If somebody doesn't respect our boundaries, they actually don't respect us. Period. Period. Point blank. End of story. And this energy together is a raider. This energy thinks they can come in, desolate, and destroy. And that's their modus operandi. That's the massive action that they take. So imagine taking massive action towards union, communion, partnership. Imagine taking massive action towards cooperation and agreements and shared ideas and shared values and shared beliefs. Imagine taking massive action towards harmony and growth and future planning and family planning and business planning. Or imagine taking massive action towards being right, proving a point, being downright dogged. Now, there could have been laying down the hatchet. A mystery does get resolved. The mystery does get revealed. But the universe, the goddess, swings her cleaver. Something gets called by the great mother here. And this energy will completely dissipate when the sun moves into Cancer. Or we're dealing with a Cancer sun or Cancer rising. But I want to be very clear. The goddess purged this energy, and she did it after we learned this lesson, whatever it was, separation, a lack of boundaries, because not all of us are dealing with some type of external conflict. Sometimes it's an internal conflict where we need to find our own self-worth and value. We need to find our own respect. We need to find our own strength, courage, and wisdom. We need to gain our own emotional fortitude. We need to understand that sometimes it just be like that, and we ain't got to go out and explain and complain. We ain't got to proselytize and prophesize. All we need to do is post up and lean into the pain and learn a little lesson and go on, carry forward, taking those lessons into new places in our life. Sometimes we need to understand that it's just the ecosystem, that we don't need to change anything other than where we're inhabiting, the places and spaces that we're hanging out in. Other times we do need to understand that the problem is with us, not necessarily that we're problematic, but it might mean that we allow certain things, or that we're operating at a frequency, energy, vibration that attracts those things into our life, because whatever you suppress and repress enough, so much that you project onto others, you'll only learn that in a karmic relationship. Venus and Jupiter, when those two energies come together, it typically brings an eternal union. However, that's in a sextile, a trine, or a conjunction. When it's a square or opposition, it creates friction enough to learn a lesson. And it can strengthen or it could dissolve. A healthy relationship evolves at a boundary. An unhealthy relationship, also known as a toxic one, dissolves at a boundary. So that's what we have here. Right now, I'm looking at the Five of Swords, Six of Swords, saying that we were at some type of situation that was war. It was love, hate. Five of Swords is make love, not war. Unfortunately, it's love, hate. This is a frenemy. This is vim and viscer. This is something that is ruminating, oscillating, vacillating in hate, marinating in venom. If we're winning, they're losing. That's how they see it in their mind, even if it's not how it's true in reality. It's true in their reality. The lesson here is to lay down, bury the hatchet, lay down your weapons, lay down your arms. That's not what they're going to do. So the most we can ever hope to do is to gain the covering of the divine, to understand that there's a calling on our life, to understand that we're blessed, chosen, highly favored, and anointed, and also to understand that we have standards and boundaries. Six of Swords is the river Styx, but we're moving on, we're moving forward, a ship over troubled waters. Still waters run deep, so we needed to see what was going on. It's confirmed by this moon card, meaning hidden agendas, ulterior motives, unknown enemies. Something here is latent, like a fingerprint. We need a little dust, sprinkle it over to see really what's there. You can't see it with the plain eye. Remember what I said, when you open your eyes, you look. When you close your eyes, you see. There's something right there, right in front of us. We might need to see our spiritual eye. We might need to turn off the light, get the black light, something like that. But it will be made manifest. We will gain insight into it, especially when we use our intuition. Sometimes you need to trust your instincts right away. If something says move on, move forward, get away, get out of it, the answer might not be made known for a little while. In Cancer season, two things will happen. One of two things. This energy will completely move on, move forward. We won't be ruminating about it. We won't be thinking about it. The other thing might be that this energy gets revealed. The truth of the truth of the truth, the why of the why of the why may be revealed. It's the same frequency, all of us, the same vibration, but the energy is going to manifest differently according to how we're post it up, you know? Again, there's an energy here that comes in and takes massive action. They always have some type of hidden agenda, period. Point blank, end of story. No way around that. Because with the Four of Cups and the Knight of Swords, what they want is to, okay. So over the last week, something got healed. Over the last week, though, I'm hearing this narrative here. Something also tried to gain control. It might have been, I'm hearing of finances, but that's one narrative. Because the narrative that I've been hearing this whole reading is that there's a divorce. It's not always of a marriage partnership, but there's some type of major separation going through the courts. And the court right now is not the main player, meaning we're no longer in proceedings. However, we're waiting on something in the mail, maybe a decree, maybe a judgment, whatever would have you. Let's move on because there's other minor narratives that I'm picking up every other card or so. And it's just giving a bunch of principles around separation, segregation, self worth and value, standards and boundaries. This is saying that a week ago, about 7 days ago, something successfully did something. I'm hearing the word shapeshifting, and I'm also hearing that the agenda here is to gain. It is was always to gain access to the assets, so the legacy, the estate. And I'm using financial words that don't always mean financial things. It's not always about cash money dollar bills. Because the temperance card could be as much shape shifting as it could be coming out behind the moon, cloaking themselves in our energy. This could be a shapeshifter that we're dealing with. With the Seven of Pentacles, they could have busted a root, or they could have just had some type of strategy, plan, agenda that finally was on the back burner. Four of Cups that finally got off the ground. Infiltrate, penetrate. Knight of Swords. This could be the business. This could be the whole family. This could be our spiritual inheritance. It's different strokes for different folks. They were masterful with it. They weren't humble about it as they should have, or they might appear to be humble. We're also dealing with somebody with their sun in Cancer or their sun in Aries, or it could be that season. I do know that during Cancer season, something's going to be over. So we had the King and Queen of Swords. Let's take a look at that. Okay, outer turmoil. So there is some type of outward fight. And that came out face up. So we're kind of going through it. Okay, so there's some fighting here. And it's a maturity thing. Now, there is another narrative that I'm getting that we could have been a long time ago, we could have been the second party. I mean, the third party. First part is going to come back to us. I don't want to say is happiness coming for us. What outside of us needed self-worth and value. For some reason, we were giving it away. In the magic oracle deck, Voyage, you already have all the answers. This is on the grounds of, yeah, Evil Queen, you deserve sugar, not salt. We got the bad side of the deal here. We need to slow down and understand our own value, feast. We need to understand our own worth, actually celebrate ourselves. So in the future, we will be made up the first priority, but only after we make ourselves the first priority, because we're going to get good news soon, but it might not come from where we're waiting. See, the thing is, once we stop waiting, hoping, wishing, praying for what we want, it actually comes to us because we're at that vibration. If we're sitting there hoping, wishing, and praying, what we're communicating to the universe is that we are not that thing. And so the lack is what gets reinforced. I just want to say I read three different timelines here. So if something almost made it for you, but isn't quite sure, you can always book a personal consult. This was a general reading. But until we meet again, namaste, dandava, and ashe, sayonara, svidanya, vedazena. I just want to say a quick prayer for all those still lost out there to illusion, delusion, confusion, trapped in the seas of time, lost somewhere in the matrix, yet to heal, yet to awaken, yet to return to the resplendent grace of the divine, unconditional, loving, universal oneness, unapologetic grace, spirit. We love you, Aside. Please forgive us. Thank you. We ask that our steps be ordered. We ask that our path be illuminated. We ask that we find salvation and redemption in this lifetime. And may we be happy, may we be whole, may we be at peace, may we receive everything we ever wanted, starting with what we deserve. Until we meet again, until we read again. Ciao.